Auburn misses the NCAA tournament for the first time since the 2020-2021 season. That season, Auburn's not eligible for the postseason, but nonetheless, Auburn would not have made it either way. Tough year. A tough year comes to a close. Auburn finishes the season 17-16. A lot to be said about this year. A lot to be said about what went wrong this year and why Auburn missed the NCAA tournament. Let me just start off with this and address the fact that Auburn just missed it and the arguments for Auburn to make it. Look, there's no reason to get up in arms about this. Could you have made an argument for Auburn to make it? Absolutely. You can look at the metrics and you can point to this or that, and you can make an argument for Auburn over Texas or SMU or whoever you want to. But at the end of the day, there's no reason to get up in arms. Auburn could have controlled their own fate here and could have won enough games to get in what ended up being one of the weaker bubbles in history, and Auburn didn't do that job. There's so many games that we can point to from this season. I mean, I go back and I think about some of the things. I think about what I said after the Houston game when Auburn lost that one, even back in November. Man, those games matter so much, and Auburn lost that one. That was a massive opportunity. But you look at games that Auburn just should have won that were games against lesser opponents like Mississippi State, like Ole Miss. You think about the Texas A&M game that Auburn lost, last second. I know that was a controversial call at the end. And again, you can go to a number of close games that Auburn lost. You win one more of those. You hold on and beat Tennessee in the SEC tournament. You're likely in. So spare me getting real upset about it. Are there arguments to be made? Sure. But there's no reason to get up in arms about this. This Auburn team didn't deserve to make the NCAA tournament, even if there was an argument for them to. So now it's all about the future, and it's all about what does this program do to get back to where it needs to be as a program and the expectations that this program has, because missing the NCAA tournament is unacceptable. That's not the standard of this Auburn basketball program. It was Stephen Pearl's first year. Understandable that there was going to be a fall off. Understandable that the roster was not going to be as good, that you're having to replace a ton of pieces. We all know that. If you're an Auburn fan, you followed this team, you know the context of the situation. Nonetheless, the results have to be better. They should have been better. This team had major roster flaws, absolutely. However, this team was still good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. I know some might push back on that. I believe this team was still good enough to make the NCAA tournament, and they didn't. So that's a failure. That's a failure on the whole staff. That's a failure on Stephen Pearl. But that doesn't mean he can't get this ship righted and get things going in the right direction. Ultimately, what cost this team was fairly inconsistent play throughout the whole entire season, and then consistently playing pretty poorly down the stretch of the year. We talked about it back in November on this show. We discussed, hey, if this team gets later into the season, what you're going to hope to see is you're going to hope to see more consistency develop. You're going to hope to see a team that's really clicking, that's really gelling. It never happened for a wide variety of reasons. Again, the roster and the pieces were a part of that. Auburn lacked rim protection defensively. Auburn lacked really good on-ball defenders. Auburn lacked shooting. I get all that. At the same time, there wasn't great culture here. There was not great leadership. Two of the guys that were supposed to be your two best players, in Todd Pettiford and Keyshawn Hall, were not good leaders. And it just never gelled. It never clicked for this Auburn team. But despite that, they were able to put some performances together where they played really well when you look at some of the big wins that this Auburn team had, like over at St. John's and like over Florida and a couple others this year, but just weren't able to do that at a consistent enough level to put themselves in position to eventually get to the NCAA tournament. And again, quite frankly, the path was made about as easy as it could have been for Auburn, but Auburn just could not get the job done this season. So there's not much more to say. I don't know what Auburn's decision is going to be on far as whether or not they're going to play for the play in the NIT or not. My guess is I doubt it. In my opinion, I think Auburn just needs to focus on the future at this point. The season was what it was. Stephen Pearl and his staff need to make sure that this never happens again, that they need to make sure that this is the worst season of the Stephen Pearl era. Because if it's not, then Stephen Pearl's not going to be at the helm for too much longer. I have confidence that Stephen Pearl and his staff will make adjustments to improve this Auburn program and get this program back where it needs to be and where it belongs, and that's at a high level of college basketball. That's what this program expects now, and that is what this program is capable of. So that's the task at hand for Stephen Pearl. As I mentioned, again, just failed to get the best out of this team. So I wouldn't want to see. Quite frankly, I don't want to see any more games from this team. I think a lot of Auburn fans probably feel similar way about things. And you did the NIT, you would see some more games, and I'm not sure that's what is good for anyone's health here. I think now you got to figure out, hey, what do we need to do to improve this roster? The transfer portal does not open until a little bit later, until after the Final Four, I believe, this year. However, let's not be naive now. Just like it was in the football portal window, the portal is going to be open right now, essentially. So while Auburn can multitask and play games and also work on building the roster for next season, if you're not playing any more games, your full attention can go to that, and that can end up being a benefit for you. And so I think that's the best strategy for Auburn moving forward, and I think for this staff. So we'll see what the ultimate decision is again here. If you're watching the replay of this live stream, a decision may have already been made on that. Let me check and make sure I am not missing that. Yes, Auburn was second team out behind Oklahoma, but no announcement yet on any future plans. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I know that was short. I want to save and do a separate episode just kind of going over the whole season, reviewing the season for Auburn, kind of grading Stephen Pearl, and then diving into that and what needs to change moving forward next season. But I think I'm going to wait on that and do a full episode where we can dive in a little bit more. But I just wanted to give some quick reactions, some quick thoughts to Auburn being left out of the NCAA tournament. Again, missing the tournament for the first time since 2020, 2021. It brings an end to a tumultuous and frustrating season for any Auburn fans. And hopefully, for Auburn's sake, that will be the end of this stretch. And hopefully, better days are ahead for this Auburn team. But for Auburn fans, get to enjoy, I guess, maybe a stress-free NCAA tournament this year with no Auburn in the field. So thank you for watching the live stream. If you did, I greatly appreciate it. If you have not already, I would ask before we get out of here, if you would just like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Again, thank you so much, and we will have many more thoughts on Auburn basketball and the future moving forward in another episode really soon.